Chapter 17. And Your Enemies Closer. We met up with Mariposa the next morning, and she confirmed that our plan had gone off as intended. Kinda hard to rocket boost someone when the announcements are temporarily suspended due to the entire AV team learning about picket lines through the power of 20-year-olds dressed as newspaper boys who sing and dance. The BPS left me a message in my locker calling off the hit, Mariposa said. But this will only slow them down. We have to figure this out as quickly as possible. I'll start thinking of a plan, I said. The more we learned, the more nervous I got about knocking over this house of cards. There was way more structure to this organization than any other I had ever tangled with. I had no idea what might happen if we came in like a wrecking ball. Precision was key if we didn't want to be left playing a very messy game of 52-card pickup when this was over. Mariposa pulled a slip of paper from her pocket and held it out to me. They also sent me this. I scanned it over. It was a note directing her to vote for Paige and get everyone who was scared of her to do the same. Well, I said, that confirms it. Gotta be her. Who else would want her to be Snow Princess this bad? I'm surprised she'd want it herself, though, Audrey said. She's never really been into any of that stuff. I guess she could have been secretly jealous this whole time, but didn't feel like she could go for it until now, since she's VP and all. Sometimes people snap, Mariposa said simply. I've seen it happen. Well, let's try to nip it in the bud. This dance already got snowed out. We don't want it sabotaged too. Connor, can you fill Mariposa in on what we learned about Sienna when we looked into her earlier? Right. Sienna Chase, he said. She's an 8th grader. Wasn't hard to find her online because, well, she's extremely online. He flashed us screenshots from several social media profiles. In each pic, she was stylishly dressed, with perfect makeup and hairstyle to match. All her pictures are like this. And she's been vlogging her entire Snow Princess campaign. She's already one of the most popular girls in school, so you'd think she'd be a shoo-in, but she's also been campaigning the most. She treats this like it's her job, Mariposa murmured under her breath. You're not wrong, Connor said. I mean, look at this stuff. He pulled up videos and showed us snippets from the most recent. Surprising, her little sister, with a welcome home display after her successful surgery, a rant video about the absolute worst math teacher at school, and a storytime video about how a bee attacked her at the park and she literally almost died. There are effects and text overlays, and she's constantly posting. Lots of kids have channels they mess around on, but she's like putting real effort into this. I think she wants to get free stuff from companies when she's in high school, brand deals and stuff. Makes sense she would throw her hat in the ring here then, I said. Kinda like an influencer test run. I still think it would have been easier to rocket boost her, said Mariposa. Then we wouldn't have to be on guard for another big thing right now. No, I said firmly. She's not one of our friends, but she doesn't deserve that just for existing and trying to be popular. That's not a crime. Mariposa shrugged. Whatever you say, but I'm not here to bodyguard middle school Barbie. Anything else happens to her, that's your problem. But she won't have any protection, Monty said, looking like he'd just gotten blindsided by one of those sad puppy adoption commercials. We have to help her. We really don't, Mariposa said, but there was a flash of weakness in her eyes. The same kind I can spot in my mom's eyes when I know I'm one please away from pizza for dinner. Mariposa, he said, drawing out the syllables, and she sighed. I suppressed a smile deep down inside. Monty strikes again. Fine, I'll see what I can do. But if I'm wasting my time on this, you all better double down on Paige. Can't we just call up the strike and rocket boost her? Connor said. Or is she off limits too? Even if we could right now, it wouldn't be smart, said Mariposa. Agreed, I said, making a mental note to make sure Mariposa wasn't rubbing off on Connor too much. If we do this in a sloppy way, there could be unintended consequences. Remember, we're trying to limit collateral damage here. And we should try to figure out what she's planning on doing to Sienna, Audrey pointed out. Like you guys said, she'll just try something else, and there are still a lot of nasty things you can do to a kid besides rocket boosting them. She might already have something planned. I know we need to talk to Paige, but maybe we should also talk to Sienna. You know, cover our bases. See if she's noticed anything weird. You two could do the newspaper thing again, Connor suggested. I don't think Sienna is going to say no to having her picture taken. My thoughts exactly, I said. We can figure out a time to do that today. And when we talked to Tessa, she said there's still prep going on for the school carnival after school. We should volunteer, talk to Paige, scout the scene, and see if anything jumps out. Audrey grimaced slightly. That sounds like a good idea, but I have a doctor's appointment after school. Don't worry, Odds, Connor said. We can handle things without you for one day. Just focus on Sienna, I agreed. We'll handle Paige. Audrey and Sienna had the same lunch period, so we decided that was the best time to strike. As anticipated, Sienna had no questions about a future story all about her, except for which filters we planned to use for her photo in the paper. Obviously, you can't do anything like dog ears, but a tasteful pastel filter, or maybe go the opposite and do a lo-fi filter so everything really pops. Depends on the outfit. How many outfit changes do I get? I wish you'd warned me about this so I could have gotten dressed up. Sienna sat across from us in the library, hair in perfect waves, expensive-looking top paired with expensive-looking jeans, eyeliner sharp enough to stab someone with. And this was just a normal day of school. I was fascinated to see how she thought she was going to escalate from there, but Audrey said, "That's like totally our bad, but this was so short notice. I have an idea. What if you send us some pictures that you've taken and we can use one of those?" The tension in Sienna's body melted away. Yes, that's perfect. Thank you. She smiled like we just told her we've gotten her the kidney transplant she needed. People always get so aggro when I suggest that, but it's like I'm doing your job for you. Why are you getting upset? And do you really think you can take a better picture of me than me? Trust me, I have way more practice. I bet, I said. You're a total pro, Audrey gushed. I've seen the pics you post. They're all mega cute. You must put a lot of work into them. Sienna beamed. Oh my gosh, thank you. You totally get me. My parents are always like, you spend too much time on your phone. But I'm like, hello guys, I'm building a brand. That doesn't just happen. Can you believe they have me on a limited data plan? Like, I'm doing my best here, but they're making it so annoying. Parents, Audrey said with an eye roll. Totally, Sienna agreed. Hey, do you think you can talk to the yearbook committee? I was having she lowered her voice, challenging hair day on picture day, so I didn't come to school, and they won't let me get a redo or submit my own pics. We'll see what we can do, Audrey said smoothly. But hey, congrats on your nomination. Sienna put one hand on her heart and another out like she was gesturing to an imaginary audience to stop with the applause already, because it was too much for her to take. I know. I can't say it was actually a surprise, but it's still a total honor. Totally not a surprise, Audrey said, mirroring back her pronunciation of the word. I loved watching her work so much. I gotta be honest, though, I was a little surprised to hear about Paige. Who? Said Sienna. Oh, right, Tractor Tran. Yeah, that was weird. She opened and closed her perfectly glossed lips, like she was trying to decide whether she should say something. I glanced over at Audrey and tilted my head slightly upward. Get it out of her. She doesn't have anything close to your numbers on any socials, Audrey said. I mean, the math doesn't really add up. I know, right? Sienna said, indecision swiftly broken. How'd she get the nomination? Like, she had Tessa in her corner, but but it's not like she was campaigning for her. How would she have the time? Sienna looked to the left and to the right and motioned for us to lean closer. I wasn't going to say this, she whispered, because it sounds a little tinfoil hat, you know? We are all way past that, I thought. But I'm a little suspicious, Sienna continued, about the nominations. They started last semester before the storm. I had all the votes. I needed to qualify for the final vote, but then after it got snowed out, some of the records were lost, so they decided to hold noms again to make it fair. I frowned. I don't remember them announcing that. Sure, I've been avoiding dance news, but I'd been avoiding it last semester too, and it hadn't helped much. Come to think of it, it was strange that Sienna was the only person I'd seen campaign flyers from since we'd come back for break. I know, said Sienna. I only found out about it because I went to the front desk to ask about the tiara color palette so I can make sure my outfit doesn't clash for it when I win. But I bet there are people who didn't realize they were redoing voting for nominations and got knocked out because they thought they'd already had enough nominations. And who's in charge of dance stuff? Student government. Audrey and I looked at each other. I didn't know that they were just letting kids be fully in charge of the dance like that. But they definitely had influence. Tessa had planned a lot on her own, suggesting the food drive and talking to outside companies. It wasn't a total stretch that Paige could suggest a little change to the nomination rules and be taken seriously. And I knew for a fact that Lucky and Mariposa had sway over what was read on the morning announcements. Heck, we've gotten them shut down completely. It would be just as easy for Paige to make sure the little detail of a do-over nomination wasn't broadly announced, and with everybody busy with makeup work after the snowstorm, it could get lost in the shuffle. But you didn't hear it from me, Sienna said, moving out of the whisper zone. She stopped. Unless you're going to make this a whole investigative thing, like one of those murder mystery podcasts, then you have to have me on board. I'd be great on a podcast. Those are great for engagement. Are we friends on all the socials? We should get in touch. We promised Sienna we'd get in touch if we were considering a podcast and sent her back to lunch so we could talk. That was more info than I expected, Audrey said. People care about what they care about, I said. If you want to find the conspiracy theory in winter formal nominations, talk to the popular girl. Does this help us, though? Audrey asked. We already knew Paige was willing to break the rules to get what she wants. So she rigged the nominations. Big deal. That doesn't tell us what she's going to do next. Maybe not, I said. But we can use it as evidence when we take her down. If we're not rocket boosting her, we might have to get the actual authorities involved. I hated bringing in teachers as much as the next guy, but sometimes there weren't any other options. I know Mariposa said she'd watch out for her, but I might stick around her too, Audrey said. Couldn't hurt to have the extra eyes. And she said her phone buzzed in her pocket, and then a second later, so did mine. I checked. A friend request from Sienna. Ha, Audrey said. Looks like I'm already in. Me too. The second I accepted the request, typing dots appeared, followed by a message. Let me know if you and Audrey ever want to be in a vlog. You make such a cute couple. I quickly turned off my screen and shoved my phone in my pocket. If Audrey had gotten a similar message from her, she didn't show it. I cleared my throat and got back on topic. Good idea sticking to Sienna, I said. Let me know if you find anything suspicious. In the meantime, I have to figure out what I'm going to say to Paige later today. I'm filling in for you. Big shoes. She giggled. Don't worry, you'll do great. You're gonna want to drop her guard. Get her to talk about stuff she likes, the way I did with Tessa, like her farm. I remember I sat next to her on the bus for a field trip in 5th grade, and she talked about her cows for like 45 minutes straight. Sounds like a plan, I said. Have fun getting your teeth scraped. Gross. I'll talk to you later. I filled the boys in on what we learned, and a few hours later we were standing outside the gym, ready for our second mission of the day. I'll be checking my phone, I said. Don't be obvious, but if you hear anything suspicious, let me know. Connor nodded. We should go in separately so no one knows we're together. Right, I said. Monty first, since they're expecting him as a cadet. Then me, then you. We'll meet up and talk after. After we sent Monty in, I took a second to get my game face on, which in this case didn't look much like a game face, but that's sometimes the best move, and then walked into the room. It looked like Santa's workshop in off-season. Lots of kids in little groups painting banners and cutting snowflake decorations. In the back of the room, I spotted Caro barking orders at Monty and Santiago, who caught my gaze and rolled his eyes like, "Can you believe this?" I couldn't blame him. At the center of the room, organizing the chaos, was Tessa, who waved me over when she spotted me. "DJ," she said, "I wasn't expecting you. Did you need more for your story?" She looked around. "Where's Audrey?" "At the dentist," I said, "and no, I just came to help out. You mentioned during the interview that you could use volunteers, so here I am volunteering." "Oh, that's great." She scanned the room. Let's see. We could always use more people on snowflakes if you're good with scissors. Or you can help with stuffing the goodie bags or wrapping the raffle prizes or painting the banners. I scrunched up my face like I was deliberating, but I already knew where I wanted to go. "I'm pretty good with a pair of scissors," I said. "I can do snowflakes." "Awesome," she said. "We need a bunch." "Oh, and that's where Paige is." "Oh, is she?" I said, as if I didn't already absolutely know. "Yeah, you can get set up with her. She'll tell you what to do." The door behind me opened and Connor walked in. "Oh, I think that's another volunteer. The turnout has been fantastic. I really think this carnival is gonna go great." "I hope so," I said under my breath. I walked over to the snowflake station, giving Paige a thorough once-over as I did. She was wearing a pullover sweater with little sheep embroidered onto it. Tessa had said she was running the station, but unlike Tessa, who always seemed to like taking charge of whatever room she was in, Paige was just sitting, putting all her concentration into the one snowflake she was cutting. Vice president and stuck on snowflake duty. I wondered for a second if Paige didn't have some secret beef with Tessa, but I tossed the thought. If Audrey thought they were fine, then so did I. Still, it seemed like the exact kind of thing that would build up and up until you had to send that angry energy somewhere. Maybe not at your best friend, but that left future web influencer Sienna wide open. "Hey," I said as I approached, trying for friendly and casual. I don't know which I failed at, but she jumped. "Sorry," I said, trying to get things back to even. Jumpy wasn't a good baseline if I wanted her comfortable enough to start spilling things. But maybe her jumpiness was because she was hiding some pretty incriminating extracurricular activities. I filed that away for later. "I was just looking for—" "Tessa's over there," she said, pointing back to where she was now talking to Connor. "Oh no," I said, "I was just talking to her. I was actually looking for you." She properly looked up from her snowflake for the first time. "Me? Why?" I pointed down at the snowflake she was cutting, and she hit herself in the forehead, narrowly missing poking herself with the scissors. I winced. "Oh, duh," she said. "Here, let me get you set up. You need paper and scissors, and oh, here's a pattern. These have the triangle point ones. I like the triangle point ones." I took the items as she handed them over and sat across from her at the little table that was set up. I kind of paused to see if she'd give me any more direction, but she didn't. She was going right back into her bubble, which was exactly what I didn't want. Clearly, conversation starting wasn't her thing. That was okay. She didn't have to start it. "So," I said as I carefully lined up the pattern on my folded piece of paper. This was a cover, but I didn't want to play a part in ruining the dance that was already in jeopardy with my sloppy decoration making. "I don't know if you know this, but I'm with the newspaper." "We have a newspaper?" "We do now," I said, mentally reminding myself to figure out if there was a way we could get away with not writing this paper we use as an excuse to several people now, and that was officially on the books as club with funding. "We're doing profiles on kids and student government. I came to volunteer, not ask questions, but I figured 2 birds and all." She shrugged. "Yeah, I can answer." "Great. Favorite book?" "Charlotte's Web. Tess likes the series of Unfortunate Events series. Favorite subject? Gym, I guess. Tess likes French best. Favorite color? Green. Tessa's is blue, but like only light blue. I paused. I hadn't even asked about Tessa's answers, and she was volunteering them up like it was a given that that's what I really wanted. It sounded like she was used to playing second fiddle. That the exact kind of person who would start something like the BPS. Still, I wanted her to talk less about Tessa, more about herself, so I switched gears. What about the dance? I heard you're up for Snow Princess. That's pretty cool. She shrugged. It's whatever, I guess. She was hiding something. I wasn't sure what, and I wished Audrey was around to fish it out of her. But even I could tell that it wasn't the full story. Whatever, I prodded. That's it? I mean, it's you and Sienna. That's a pretty big deal. She snorted. Me and Sienna. It doesn't feel like we should be in the same sentence, let alone the same competition. You know, I didn't even vote. No, I said, thinking about the conversation with Sienna. No, I don't really pay attention to that stuff. I nodded neutrally, but inside I was thinking, laying it on a little thick, huh? But it made sense. I was allegedly putting this info in the still imaginary school paper. Anything to make her seem not involved was good, at least to someone who wasn't looking too deeply into everything she was saying. If she was running a school-wide conspiracy under everyone's noses, I had to assume she could convincingly play dumb, too. I honestly thought it was some kind of joke at first, she said. You know, like Carrie on prom night? But Tess checked the nominations, and she said it's legit. She lowered her voice. I think she just told everyone who wasn't going to vote for her to vote for me instead, since she wasn't eligible. You know, 'cause she's running the whole thing. She was distancing herself from the process, throwing Tess under the bus. But Audrey had been pretty sure their closeness was real. Well, Tessa read on their closeness anyway. She seemed determined to keep bringing up Tessa, so I decided to follow Audrey's advice and go with that. You and Tessa are pretty close, right? Yeah, she said. We've been friends since, we had this petting zoo at my farm a long time ago. There were a lot of kids from our school, but no one really wanted to hang out with me. I was wandering around and saw her by the goat pen. She wanted to see the horses, but her sister wanted to see the goats, so they were stuck there. She was all pouty, so I helped her sneak some goat feed into her sister's back pockets, and the goats were biting her butt the entire time she was in the pen. It was hilarious, and we've been BFFs ever since. It was a funny story, but more important, finally a flicker of the kind of thinking that ended up with you as the head of a secret revenge society. I made small talk with her for a little longer as we cut snowflakes, and eventually it was time to go. I met up with Connor and Monty in the hall. I didn't notice anything weird going on, said Monty. You were with Paige the whole time, and I didn't see anyone else doing anything suspicious. And I didn't see any obvious sabotage, said Connor. Like, I thought maybe the dunk tank, but they're both going to get dunked. So, wait, I said, stopping him. Dunk tank? I thought it was boys getting dunked and girls getting pied. That's not what Tessa said to me. She said the girls are being dunked, boys are getting pied. I frowned. Give me 1 second. I ducked back and beelined for Tessa, who was packing up some supplies. Hey, Tessa? Huh? Oh, DJ, what's up? Quick question. Did you say boys dunked, girls pied? Oh, no, she said. We changed it. Girls are doing the dunk tank, boys are doing the pie booth. We figured longer hair, whipped cream, blah. We? You and Paige decided? Yeah, of course. Cool, thanks. I headed back to the guys. That was a plausible reason to swap. It could be nothing, or it could be a setup. Last minute swap, I announced. They changed it. A trap? Monty asked. Don't know. I said. That was the problem with conspiracies. Anything could be everything, but it was just as likely to be nothing. All the more reason to shut this down as soon as we could. We should be on the lookout just in case, but Connor's right. Getting dunked into a dunk tank isn't really a trap if you're doing it on purpose, and both of them will be doing it. I don't know what she would be trying to accomplish here. We can keep posted nearby during the carnival, Connor said. Make sure no funny business is happening. I nodded. Sounds good. We split up for the day and filled Audrey in once she got back from her appointment. The next day at school, I spotted Audrey with Sienna in the halls, arms linked as Sienna talked to her, rapid-fire pace. Oh my gosh, no way. How are you not already blowing up online? Singers are super hot right now. You should totally collab with me on my next stream. I grinned to myself, confident that whatever little information about her life Sienna didn't immediately post online, we'd have access to anyway. Sienna was as protected as we can make her without taking down the BPS, which meant that it was next on our list, but it was a pretty big to-do item, and we didn't have a lot of time. Not if we wanted to get it done before the dance. It was only a little over a week away. It wasn't just to protect Sienna either. Taking out the would-be snow princess would be a huge symbolic victory for them, and we couldn't let them have that. That's the kind of thing that makes people escalate. And I knew all about things going too far. I wasn't going to let that happen at my school. Not again.